It is that time where we talk about last year's national champions coming back from not even winning the Big Ten last year to winning the national championship. And this year, can they do it again? That's the question that we attempt to discuss here. Uh, I have Jordan from the Inside Sports Podcast. Uh, this is his favorite team. He's liked them since he was old enough to say the words Ohio State, and he's seen a few championships for the most significant team in the Big Ten in the last couple of decades. Jordan, how are you feeling about Ohio State this year?
You want I could say a lot. Do you want just a general feeling here before we get into this?
Yeah, just I mean, are you
I'm
feeling
I'm
like
on
they can
top of the world.
repeat? I get. We'll find out.
I'm
Let me.
on top of the world. Never felt better. We can absolutely repeat. Have the best offensive player in America in Jeremiah Smith, the best defensive player in America in Caleb Downs. I think the supporting cast very very underrated. I'm not saying we are equal at every position like to last year's squad. There are some places where we're definitely taking a slight dip, but there's also some places I think we're going to be better than people realize, and we'll get into that
Okay.
as we go throughout the schedule. But very very excited to do this. This is the happiest I've been as overall, right? Because even though we lost to that team up north
Yeah.
again last season, the national
Huge
championship,
dirt
it did,
stain. Huge dirt stain.
dirt stain. It didn't take all the pain of that loss
This.
away
Let me
because we
ask
still
this.
have to
Let me
hear
ask this
about it every
question.
day.
If in regards to being a stain, uh, did that bleach out, or is it still there? Does it still appear?
It's still kind of there, and I think the coaches and players feel that way. I think the guys who came back feel that way.
Uh,
I think there's a lot of seniors on our team who came back just to win that game again. Essentially, guys who could have gone to the NFL who came back because they want to win that game because that's really the only thing that they have left to accomplish. That in the Big Ten championship, which again, each of the
yeah,
last
yeah,
4 seasons, we would have probably won the Big Ten had we beaten Michigan, and then we would have made the Big Ten
yeah.
championship
So they're
game. And
stealing hardware from you, is
so
what's happening.
essentially, yeah, I mean, so the only thing standing between us and the Big Ten title is them. So we got to get through them
Wow,
first, and so,
what a
but
statement!
we'll
What
get
a
to that.
statement!
But generally, feeling great, feeling amazing. Cannot wait for week one.
Yeah, week one is going to be your toughest week, heading into a very tough season. This and it's tough because you really only have to get over a few hurdles. The good thing about this season is no Oregon, and that that's a good thing for a conference like the Big Ten because no team escapes every great program, but some teams may only have to play one team that's like, hey, this is probably a guaranteed loss, or But week number one for you, and I only think that is this year's tough is because of your week one game. Now, potentially, right, a loss means you lose in week one, and let's say you went out and you're 11-1. The playoff committee and the Big Ten are generally going to be like, doesn't matter. Big Ten for sure doesn't matter because it's not a conference game. But for the playoff committee, if you lose to Texas and they go 12-0 or 11-1, and you go 11-1, it's not a big deal. So I flipped a coin and picked Texas because Texas has this thing about big nights. Texas does pretty good underneath the pressure. I would say Ohio State does too. So we're probably talking about a pre-playoff game happening week number one. And if you were to lose, which I think Ohio State might, then they're going to be able to go possibly face them again in the postseason and have a grudge. And Texas is going to be, if Texas wins, which I think they might, then Texas goes into the playoffs thinking, oh, we got to beat these guys twice. So either way, it's a good thing. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah, I mean
it's
the
not a
winner.
bad thing.
Yeah, I think the winner of this game isn't a good spot, obviously because it's a massive win for your resume, and I think both of these teams come the end of the season will definitely be in the top 10, whether or not they're top 5 or whatever. We can hash that out at a later date. But
Right.
yeah, I think this is a big game for both teams. The thing that I just can't get over, Paul Feinbaum. Have you seen some of the stuff that he said about Arch Manning?
No, I quit
I
watching
mean,
Paul Feinbaum like a year or two ago because he's so
well,
SEC.
for good
Like
reason.
he's
And I don't watch his show either, but I see clips of things on social media
sure.
from time to time, and he's worshiping Arch Manning like he's the greatest thing
Well,
since sliced bread,
that doesn't surprise
this,
me.
that, or the other.
It would surprise
Do
me if
people
you said
not?
the opposite. Yeah.
Do people not realize he's pretty much making his first start? He played against Mississippi State, who was the worst SEC team in the conference last year. He started against UL Monroe, okay,
Right.
and then maybe one other team, and it was like an FCS squad. So he has yet to really play meaningful ball in a big game. The same can be said
Yeah, that's
for
actually a
Julian
good
Sayin
point.
the same can be said for Ohio State's starting quarterback, who I assume will be Julian Sayin.
No
But he's at
reports on
home.
that yet.
Well, Ryan, I think it's one of those things Ryan Day doesn't like to. The general sentiment is that it's been Sayin's job from the beginning, but he hasn't declared him the starter yet. Make of that what you will.
Sure. Sure. You'd be
So,
surprised if he wasn't.
and the main thing I want to get out here, and listen, I love Jack Sawyer. I love JTT. I mean, shoot, I was at the semifinal game last year at the Cotton Bowl, and I saw Jack Sawyer make bar none the greatest play I've ever seen with my own two eyes for one of my favorite teams.
The interception
But
and the return.
but here's the thing. This is my favorite stat I looked up a few weeks ago. JT Tuimoloau, he was one of our edge rushers, right? Last year he had 12 and a half sacks.
That's a lot.
So that's a lot, right? But we also played 16 games,
Sure.
right? So you think about that. Here's the other thing.
But he also had
Six
some
and
heavy hitters. He had Jack Sawyer playing. He had other
yes,
guys. He had to compete against other people.
he led the team in sacks overall, right? Six and a half of those 12 sacks came in the last 4 games in the
Wow,
playoff.
that's huge.
So that
That's
means
big.
in the 12 regular season games where some were against crappy Big Ten teams, Group of Five teams, he only had 6.
Right.
What
So
I'm
he's
saying is
improved.
that the playoff run Ohio State went on was not indicative of the team that they were in the regular season. They really turned it on to a new level in the playoff, right? Which was awesome. I'm not like, of course, I freaking love that.
Well,
All that being said, we're bringing in new guys on the defensive line this year who have been in the program. They're hungry.
yeah,
They have been waiting for their chance, and I think they're going to end up being a better defensive line,
yeah,
especially from a pass rushing standpoint, than the guys were last year. We also brought in Bo Atkinson from North Carolina. He didn't want to play with Bill Belichick, so he's going to come up and play with Bill Belichick's former defensive coordinator and Matt Patricia, who is Ohio State's defensive coordinator now. So,
yeah.
listen,
And that's a
I
huge
think the
move,
Bucks
by
are.
the way.
That's a massive move.
Yeah,
I think the Bucks are going to win this game. I'm super excited for it. I
yeah.
think Arch is going to be a little in over his head on the road. OH.
All right. So you got a split decision here. I think Texas has the win on the road. I think Texas is going to be the number one team all year long, just like last year. And whether they can win in the playoffs, I don't know. But it is what it is. Next 2 weeks are easy games for Ohio State. I call them automatic wins. Grambling, HBCU school, got to give them some love for having the ability to go up to the shoe and play. It's probably a dream of theirs, but they're going to
Oh
be
yeah.
crushed. So
Yep.
Grambling gets the
Probably
loss.
won't even watch this game.
Will it even be televised?
This
Uh,
is one of those where you're like, hopefully nobody gets hurt.
well, that's true.
And if
Yeah.
nobody gets hurt, then I don't really care what the
And
final
if you get
score
hurt
is.
against Grambling, nothing to take away against Grambling's program, but
Oh,
I mean,
exactly.
but they don't have the recruiting that the
Yeah.
power schools do or FBS teams. Um,
Yep.
Ohio Bobcats, I think this is another practice game, and they're going to need it because that's a win, and they go into Washington for their fourth game. Now, Washington is probably the fifth best team in the Big Ten, and I say for a fifth because are they better than Oregon? Probably not. Are they going to be better than Penn State? Probably not. Are they going to be better than Ohio State? Probably not. Are they going to be better than Illinois? Probably not. And if I was to pick a fifth best team, but in a world where five Big Ten teams get into a 12 team playoff, not going to happen. Washington's still going to be good though. And had they been in any other conference, they would, if they're still in the Big 12 with Oregon, they'd be 1-2. But I think Ohio State gets the win here on the road. However, it it might be a difficult game for Ohio State because, as you saw last year when they went into Oregon, that travel time, the play time difference, I mean, it all adds up, and it probably takes an entire day away from them just because the rest that they will need. So it's going to be a difficult game. Washington's got a pretty cool atmosphere. I've watched them on TV for 30 years, and I can say that this should be a win for Ohio State.
Yeah, I got two quick notes. One, did you know that Ohio State and Ohio haven't played in 15 years? You feel
That
like that game would happen
well,
more often.
well. Now that I think about it, I'm not surprised because I don't really ever see them play.
Right.
A lot of Big Ten teams play Ohio, but not Ohio
Yeah.
State. They usually
Hmm.
play like Akron, or they used to play Youngstown State for many years. But
They did. Yeah, we played them. I think they played them a couple years ago, Youngstown at least. So Washington, and the other interesting note I had was Ohio State does have a bye before this game,
yeah, they do.
which
They
I
do.
think is very favorable for them, not having to go to the West Coast directly. They get a whole week to prepare, and they could probably leave a little bit earlier as well. So because of that, I'm going to lean Ohio State here, but I'll tell you this. In a weird way, and I think you can understand this, in a weird way, I'm less confident in this game if they beat Texas and more confident in Ohio State win if they lose to Texas, because I just think if they lose to Texas,
They know they
they'll have
can.
a little bit of an edge,
Yeah,
right? And so
yeah.
they won't need to trip up because they would have already experienced a loss. So I'm going to say Ohio State goes on the road and beats Washington anyway, but I'm not as
You're
confident,
not
if that makes
confident.
sense.
Um, all right. Well, but we both agree they win. Minnesota comes to Ohio State. Dare not even say too much about that. Hopefully, PJ Fleck can turn things around for himself and the program up there. This should be a pretty easy win versus Ohio State.
Yeah, I think Ohio State's going to get a
Yeah,
pretty
the
easy
Buckeyes.
win here.
And truth be told, they play Illinois the next week. So hopefully they can get whatever loose ends Ohio State had prior to the you know Illinois game. They can fix it, because they're going to need it for Illinois. I think Ohio State marches into Champaign and wins. I would like to see Ohio State have a dominant win over Illinois to make a statement in the Big Ten that, hey, Illinois is not anything to be talked about. Now, on the other side of that coin is an Illinois fan base, an Illinois forward legacy media is all about Illinois. They're gonna start out top 25. I can't remember the last
Oh, yeah.
time Illinois started out top 25. Now they took a 9-3 season, turned it into a 10-3 season. So it's their first double-digit win um, that I've seen in the football program for Illinois. But can Bielema do it? And I just don't think he can. I think Ryan Day is the better coach. Notice that last year when Ohio State lost to Michigan, it was because it was a rivalry game and he was still playing Jim Harbaugh's recruits. The truth of the matter is, after a year or two of recruiting, Ohio State, you know, Illinois. The truth is, Brett Bielema has probably got a really good, solid, his footing is there. Everything is ready to just move forward. So, will Ohio State beat Illinois is a huge question mark in my book because in times past, Illinois has played really close games with Ohio State, no matter what their record was. So this is kind of turning into a more pronounced rivalry than it already is. And I think Ohio State gets the win, but they're going to have to eke it out by one score. I don't know whether it's 3 or 7, but I think Ohio State plays tough at Illinois, especially if they lose to Texas. They know they can't lose again.
Ohio State's going to win the game. Pretty confident in that. And listen, I've said it a lot, even on these first few episodes here. we're looking at the wrong dark horse team in the Big Ten. Illinois, I don't think they're that team. I think you need to be looking at Washington or Nebraska to be that team. So yeah, I like Ohio State. I do think this game will get big noon as well. So it's a noon kickoff, not a night game. I think that hurts Illinois. So give me Ohio State.
Okay, well, you've heard it there. We're both picking Ohio State, but I said by one score. Do you think it? Like honestly, do
Yeah.
you think it's going to be a drubbing?
Like a 31 to 14, 17 maybe.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of
Could
a
be close early, but Ohio State pulls away in the end.
yeah big noon game. Ohio State plays pretty good at noon, minus maybe 1 week of the year. So then we have Ohio State traveling to Wisconsin, and like I said in the preview video that I did, this used to be a game I'd be like, man, I got to watch this game. But
Yeah,
over the last several years, Wisconsin's just not competitive at this level anymore. At least winning the Big Ten or getting to a point where they could be, dream about making the playoffs. So,
yeah.
especially with the addition of the powerhouse that Oregon is, and as good as Washington is, and USC. I mean, now we've got even more competition. There's no, like you said before, there's no more divisions, and the truth of the matter is, it's you got to be great, and Wisconsin's just not that. So I think you go into Camp Randall and you smoke the Badgers.
I agree, and I think this might be the game that gets Luke Fickell fired.
Well, ironic. That would be so ironic.
That would be very ironic. He played at Ohio State, used to be
Yeah.
our defensive coordinator the year we won the national championship. But yeah, I think this could be it for Luke Fickell. Maybe maybe October 18th is a little too early, but it will certainly get the wheels in motion. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. The next possible loss and second toughest game they play all year is Penn State. And Penn State has all of the energy, from the past 10 years that they need to win the Big Ten and they need to get to the playoffs and they need to win. They need a natty under their belt. Those Nittany Lions fans have been starving for so many years to be relevant in the national talk as elite. Now, they're relevant in the national talk because they have a good coach and they have good players that go to the NFL. But they just can't bring the hardware home. I think Penn State gets a win this year over Ohio State. So that's my prediction on this game. I don't think there's any ifs, ands, or buts about it that Penn State has that type of drive. Now, assuming Penn State's going to be almost undefeated coming into this game.
Drew Aller, what do you think about him? Penn State's quarterback.
The former quarterback,
No, current Drew Aller.
Drew Aller. What about him? I mean, he's not elite. He's not to the point where he's going to be probably drafted number one. I don't think that. I think he's better than Shedeur Sanders, but I don't think that he's. But I don't think that he's going to be the best quarterback in the Big Ten. He probably should be, but I don't think he will be. He's just kind of a. He's he couldn't do it last year. You know what I mean? Well, it makes
In
me think.
order, go ahead. No, I'm sorry.
Well,
In order for Penn State to win this game, it's going to take Drew Aller doing something he's never done,
which is
and I
beat
just don't
Ohio
think it's
State.
going to happen. I don't even mean that. I just mean be the reason Penn State wins because he never has been. He never has been. He's no better than Sean Clifford was when Sean Clifford was the quarterback. He's nowhere near as good as Trace McSorley was.
No.
So, listen. I get why people are high on Penn State. I mean, a lot of people have them to play for the national
Well, they just
championship.
don't lose 3 or 4 games this season.
No, they don't. It's one or two, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Max. And listen, that's a good thing. But they're bringing back a lot of core pieces from a team that they beat SMU and Boise State in the playoff. And then they lost to who were not good playoff teams. Then they lost to Notre Dame who couldn't throw the
Well,
ball.
and but that's what that's
Drew
one.
Aller lost them that game last year. He was terrible.
Well, he'll learn from
He's
his
just not a
mistakes.
good quarterback. There, I'll just say he's not a good quarterback.
I think he'll learn from his
He's
mistakes,
not a
though.
good quarterback.
And
They're bringing in a ton of new wide receivers for because they don't think the guys last year were good. Let me tell you something. Trey Wallace and Amari Evans, who were their top two receivers, and they had Tyler Warren last year too. Let's not forget
Well,
about that,
yeah,
the tight end who got
he's
drafted in the first
amazing.
round.
Yeah.
Right. Those three guys are gone, and we're acting like they were like those receivers were the problem. No, Drew Aller was the problem, and he's still there.
Well, he has nowhere else to go, obviously. And I will say this
Well,
though,
yeah, he's in a great
the
situation, and he's not good enough to have them win this game. Ohio State's going to win the game. Let's move on. I'm getting
I
angry now
well let me
because
say
all off season, all I've been hearing is people anointing Penn State just because they're bringing guys back. I'm like,
it's true,
okay,
and
you're bringing guys back, but what have those guys done that has been impressive?
this is the reason I'm saying this. The only reason that it wasn't Ohio State Penn State in the championship was because of 3 points. And it would have been, right? But it wasn't. And so Penn State could have easily beaten Notre Dame. It was an any given Sunday moment, obviously, because look at what Ohio State did to Notre Dame. They controlled that entire game, and had it been Penn State, it would have been drastically different. I believe the football committee set it up to the way that that could have ended up happening, and I think this year it's going to be. I would love to see an Ohio State Penn State championship. That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, and we blast them just like we're going to do in this regular
In
season game.
regards
But
to
go on,
the Big
go
Ten.
on,
In
go
regards
on.
to the Big Ten. So this is a good point to make, though. Essentially, Penn State and Ohio State could play up to 3 times in the 2025.
Potentially.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. So Ohio State then goes to Purdue. Then they have UCLA at home. And then they have Rutgers at home. And then they play, which, by the way, those are all 3 wins.
Right.
And then they play Michigan. The dread of Ohio State fandom right now. I've heard it said before that if Ohio State went 1-11, but the one win was Michigan, that's a good season. I would never go that far as to say that a one-win season would ever be good, no matter who you beat. But
Yeah, no.
but people believe that though. There's a lot of Ohio State fans who that's their game. Um, just like last year, you went that whole time undefeated. Well, you lost to Oregon, but I mean, you know you were going to be in the championship game, and that kept you out of it. Got you in the playoffs. You won the Natty, whatever. And then this year in 2025 is the year. You have to, like, Ohio State has to win this game. A depleted Michigan program full of scandal. The program at Michigan has been under scandal for so many years. People that aren't like college football, they've forgotten about it. And the truth is, it doesn't need to be forgotten about. They're about to, we learn new news, right? But this is about Ohio State. This is about Ohio State not having their, my predicted, third loss of the year. So imagine how painful if Ohio State can't beat Texas and can't beat Penn State, and then they lose to Michigan. That would be like a Ryan Day call for firing, because you, I mean, honestly, if Ryan Day loses to Michigan this year, I don't think he'll be fired, but I guarantee a lot of fans are going to be mad at him for it. So I'm predicting a win because they've got to turn the table now. This is the year. But can you confidently say that?
No, not confidently. I think they will win the game,
So does this mean undefeated? Like,
but could tell you why. I could say we have the better team, which we do. I mean, I could give you a list of reasons, but it hasn't mattered.
do you think going into Ann Arbor makes a difference in the rivalry game?
Mm, I, I guess it just, yeah. I mean, a little. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, yeah.
The fact that they
I
beat
think it does.
Alabama in the postseason, did that mean anything to you?
No,
Basically the same team coming back.
no, no.
Michigan is,
Go ahead.
they're not going to be good. They lost to they lost to Indiana last year by
Yeah.
5 points. They lost to Oregon by 21 points. Yet they beat Ohio State by 3. And that's what scares me about this game if I was on either side, which I'm not. But what scares me is that Michigan has the upper hand. They know right up here that we're going to win this game. I mean, I'm thinking their players must be thinking we're going to win this game because we just are. So that's got to be the only difference. And if Ohio State can change that mindset, that's the only way they're going to win. But I think they do it. I think Ryan Day has had enough. I think the national championship by himself, you know what I mean, in 2024, 2025, I think that alone has got him thinking I'm gonna possibly be the greatest head coach there ever was, but I got to get over this hurdle. Or will that
It
be
is
his
kind
story?
of. I mean, it's kind of crazy when you think about his total winning percentage. How I think it's the best since like Newt Rockne,
Mm. Well, I think
who
he's
was
on.
Notre Dame's coach in like the 1910s, right? I mean,
Yeah,
we're talking about historical levels of winning overall, and the one
yeah,
bad thing on his resume is the
that's right.
Michigan thing. Now, we could do a whole nother video on, and you and I are, I think as time goes on, you and I are getting a little bit more in lockstep about the whole Michigan cheating thing. I mean, say what you want, but you talked about how the reason like Michigan has this mentality of, hey, we're just going to win every single time because that's
Right.
what we do. Well, the only reason they have that mentality is because for 2 and probably 3 years in a row, you know what they did, right? So, but it just is what it is at this point. And to me, that was no excuse for Ryan Day and Chip Kelly to call the game and for the players to play as badly as they did last year, right? So I can't. Again, I think we have the better team, are better at pretty much
Yeah,
every position, but I just can't. I can't give you a football reason. It's mainly just
yeah.
based on hope, and what a relief that's going to be if they do get that win. I think it's going to take a lot of weight off everybody's shoulders, especially Ryan Day. And again, I think there are certain parts of this team that are better than last year, and I think that's ultimately going to be the difference.
I'm gonna
And
look
so
up the Vegas odds for the Ohio State Michigan game right now.
I think the
Um,
line is Ohio State -5 or 5.5, I want to say.
let's see. According to, let's go Vegas. Let's see. Yeah, but check this out. For the 2024 game, Ohio State was a 21.5 point
Yeah,
favorite.
yeah. So I mean, again, it doesn't really matter. I, again, I hope and pray that Ryan Day is just not in his own head heading into this year.
Well, he's got to get, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I guess it doesn't even matter what the odds are because we know last year the odds were 21
No,
and a
it,
half.
it, it doesn't. It
So
doesn't.
I'm I'm gonna say that Ohio State gets the win. Like I believe last year they were too. And to tell you the truth, it just pained me. I don't like Michigan or Ohio State. I hate them both equally. And the truth of the
Right.
matter is that it was stifling. I could not believe. And if they do the same thing again this year, then and there might be a lot of things in college football that make me just like, what? Because last year kind of did it when Notre Dame made it to the championship. I was like,
Right.
okay. Um, the 12 team format makes a big difference. And when you look at the college football playoff, as long as Ohio State isn't 9-3, if they were to lose to Michigan, I think they get in the playoffs. I mean, obviously at 10-2 last year, they got into the playoffs. So if Ohio State can win at least one of their big games and not drop the ball like they did against Purdue 8 years ago, then I think Ohio State gets in no matter what the outcome of the Michigan game. And that's where an Ohio State fan um, really needs to just kind of get some solace from. Is like, hey, just we don't have to win this rivalry game, but it's in everybody's blood that loves the Buckeyes. Do we have to beat Michigan? And obviously, last year proved that you don't have to beat Michigan to be the national championship. But I don't know. This one has right here has just got me like so. I don't even know how to say. I can't even put it into words how Ohio State loses to Michigan. Now the year they cheated, and won the national championship. That one was kind of like expected, but the other ones, the other four, what? It's a tough
Yeah,
conversation for Ohio State fans to have, and I know you're going through it right
it is.
now. You just have to
That's like
win.
I came into this video feeling so happy and hyped up, and now I'm just like just thinking about
Yeah,
if we do lose to them again,
but if you're
just
if you're 11-0 coming
the
into this game, it changes the landscape compared to last year, kind of.
oh yeah,
Um, a little bit, yeah, because now it's like, okay, not only do we have to win to stay undefeated, but if we want to be the champions, we have to get in, because who knows how many one-loss Big Ten teams there might be this year, and you know, that it also brings up another conversation about how, okay, let's say that Ohio State does beat Michigan but has two losses. They would have to go head to head versus the team they played. If they didn't play that team, they're going to go, how did they line up head to head versus similar opponents? And that would obviously be bad for them. But, last year proved a lot of things. It proved that Ohio State, or just in general, a team can have two losses, not be in their championship game, and make the playoffs. And
I'll just say this. I mean, I don't think you're going to see that very often. Ohio State being 10-2, being technically fourth in the Big Ten, you're not.
right,
I would almost guarantee you're not going to see a team do that again for a long
I
time.
think
We're
there
talking about a very weird
it was a
and
slim margin of 4 points from Ohio State being undefeated last year
like
and being
well
10-2.
that's a good point as well. And again, I think we were talking on the phone the other day about how Ohio State had to play all three teams in the like that were ahead of them in the
Yeah,
standings,
yeah,
and those teams never had to play
yeah,
each other.
correct.
So I mean, just using the label of fourth in the Big Ten is in 10-2 is sort of
It's
it's sort of
diminishing to an
hiding.
Ohio State fan base, I'm sure.
Oh,
And 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 the world was seeing Ohio State as, hey, they're lucky they got in. I certainly believe that too. But after the Michigan loss last year, I was certain they weren't going to make it. But then the next day, I'm thinking, okay, well, they lost by 1 point to Oregon at Oregon. They lost by 3 points to Michigan. So total of 4 points can completely change the season. But a W is a W, and that's what counts. The number of points don't matter. You got to win the games.
yep.
So I have Ohio State being worst case scenario 10-2, best case scenario undefeated. Obviously, that's just, you can say that about any team. Where do you put Ohio State at this year?
Well, I think I said win every single game.
So
So
you're going to say an undefeated Ohio State is likely, even though last year we saw no undefeated teams.
I think there's an equal chance they go undefeated and go 10-2. Because I'm a fan, I'm gonna lean
Sure.
undefeated. But I think I'll say objectively there's an equal shot at those two things happening. So, and I think if they go 11-1, that's a great season too, especially with this schedule. This is not a really easy schedule. I mean, you got Texas, top five team,
Yep.
at Washington, Illinois, two top probably 6, 7 teams in the Big Ten. Penn State, who everyone's picking to go to the national championship, you play them, and of course you get that team up north. So I mean, there's 5 games here that you're going to have to really be locked down and prepared for. And
Right.
so I could easily see 10-2. Um, so yeah, I don't think your prediction is that crazy. And if they're 8-1 in the conference like you have them, that probably means they're going to the Big Ten championship. So
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully so. 18 teams, it's a lot of battle. A lot of battle
yep.
in those 14 weeks of football. Well, anyway, hey, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully, we'll see you soon, and